Hey, what's going on, beautiful jellyfish? It's Tracy. Thanks so much for taking a little bit of time out of your day to hang out with me. I really appreciate it. In today's video, we're going to be chatting about two things. First, I deleted my Twitter, and I'm going to be talking about a little bit about that. And the second thing is we're just going to kind of like chat about the pandemic and what's going on. So this video might be like possibly triggering. So just like a fair warning, if you're not in the emotional headspace to talk about some like kind of sad stuff, just like as a total heads up. Just kind of wanted to like tell you about that, but just kind of wanted to like in a casual mood, just kind of wanted to like chit chat. I've got my tea. This tea is very delicious. If you are a Texan, so on a lighter note, so Texas is very prideful, very, very, very prideful place. Very interestingly, coming from New York and then coming to Texas, it's a very prideful place. And one of the things that Texas is very prideful of is this grocery store chain called H-E-B. If you're Texan, you know. And this actually tea is a, oh my gosh, what is the flavor? It's like a ginger peach tea, and it's incredibly delicious. It's like a decaf tea, and I really love it. And so that's what I'm drinking right now. Yeah, it's the brand My Cup of Tea, or like the sub brand or whatever. I don't know. Okay, so basically, I had actually filmed this video like a couple weeks ago, and I didn't upload it. And I very, very rarely like delete videos. And I honestly don't know why I didn't delete it, because I feel like, so like real talks are meant to be like very casual. Like this is a very casual channel, like in general, like it's not very like professional or anything. But I don't know why, I wasn't really happy with the video, so I like didn't upload it. So I'm refilming it, and I guess I was just kind of like in the mood to like chat. I don't know. But basically kind of like just wanted to chat. So I like deleted my Twitter, and I feel like what was really happening was like two things. The first thing is I was doing a lot of like mindless, unhealthy scrolling through it, which is like its own separate thing. And I feel like I kind of do that on other social media platforms, but I feel like less so. I feel like I did a lot more on Twitter. That's also just like a thing that I kind of like struggle with. Is I feel like I just kind of like mindlessly scroll, and like I feel like I did that a lot on Twitter, and so that was kind of like unhealthy. So that was like one aspect of it. And the other kind of aspect was I felt like I was seeing a lot of like, and I've talked about this before, just I feel like a lot of people who are like very hyper consumed with like their numbers, and like, oh, I hit this milestone and I like got to like this amount of subscribers, or got to like this amount of like Twitch followers, I don't know what it's called on Twitch, whatever. And I just, or like, oh, I won a tournament, or like all this stuff. And I feel like it just like got to the point where I was like, it was just like people just being really consumed in like their like accomplishments. And like, there's nothing wrong with that. And I feel like I just want to be like really clear. Like I'm very excited for those people who like did all those sorts of things. I feel like I just brought that into like my own space. And I think one of the aspects that I really love about like teaching is I feel this like I don't feel pressure to like compare myself to like any other teachers, and I really love that, because I'm someone who in like that aspect of my life, I'm someone who's like, I love that teachers do things differently, and I can learn from them, they can learn from me. Like it's a very cool sort of thing. Like I don't feel like ever in my teaching I'm like, wow, I really wish I was like that teacher. I like, and if I feel that way, it's like, oh, I'd really like to adopt this thing that they do, or like I love this certain piece, but I'm never like envious, like, oh my gosh, I just want to be that other person. And I feel like, and I think that's really good. I don't think it's healthy to compare yourself and to be like, I want to just be that person. I don't think that's healthy at all. And so I feel like I felt that way a lot like on Twitter. And I don't really know why. Like, I don't really know why in my head I don't feel that way about, like, teaching, but then I did feel that way about magic. I'm not too sure why. I feel like you would have assumed that it would be, like, the same, but for me it was, like, different. So I just was in like a really negative headspace, and I feel like I just kind of wanted to like remove that sort of thing. And I think that's like totally healthy. And I think if you're following people, or, you know, you're in that similar position, I don't think there's anything wrong with like muting people or unfollowing people or anything like that. I've heard this a lot of people, well, they'll follow like, let's say like health accounts or like fitness accounts and like all that sort of stuff. I feel like it's really easy to like compare yourself to other people, and that can be just like really unhealthy. And yeah, so I kind of like did that, and then I kind of just wanted to like chat about just like the state of the world right now, because I feel like things are just really wild. And I think the reason that because I did a video like talking about like the pandemic, like I want to say in like maybe March or maybe like the beginning of April, when like things were kind of like real at that point, and just how like things were just super like, everything has just been like super strange and like very abnormal. And I feel like I don't know what like inspired me to like talk about this again now, because obviously like this has been going on for like a minute. So I don't know what inspired me to talk about it now. Maybe because it's like we're close to like February, and it's almost been like a full year that like, at least where I am in Texas, where we're almost fully going into like a year of lockdown. I know some places have done it sooner and some places have done it a little bit later, but we're almost hitting that like year mark, and which is really wild to think about, because 2020 feels like the shortest and both longest year. Don't really know how that works in terms of time, but does anyone else feel that way? And I just kind of got like really sad, because I just like really miss my friends, and I really miss like, magic is so interactive, and I really miss like sitting down and like sitting and playing a game of Commander. And I feel like one thing that's kind of like really frustrated me actually recently has been seeing people who like are out and about doing things and like basically living like, I don't want to say like the pandemic like hasn't happened, but like a lot of people are like still going out to like to sit in a restaurant and eat, and like some people are still going out and having social gatherings when they shouldn't, and like all that sort of stuff. And then those people are like, wow, this is really hard. And it's like, actually like you're still doing things and you're still going out and stuff. And then there's people like Paul and I who like haven't seen anyone and have taken quarantine like very seriously. And to see it just is frustrating for me, because like those same people are complaining when it's like, actually I feel like the people who should be upset are like people like us who like, we haven't had a social gathering, and it's like we're the people who are craving it. I don't know if that makes sense, but I just got really frustrated when I hear people saying, I really miss doing this. It's like, you're still going out and eating at restaurants, and you're still going out and like having small social gatherings. It's like, oh, well, you know what, like I had like only hung out with 5 people when normally I hang out with 10, and it's like you still saw 5 people even though you shouldn't. So that just really frustrated me. And just because like and Paul and I even talked about this a little bit. He's like, it almost feels like there's so many people who aren't taking it seriously. It's like, why should we? Like, what's the point? And it's like, I don't necessarily agree with that, because it's like, just because I feel like this pandemic has really taught us that like people are not thinking about other people. And I've like talked to this about like my kids who are in 2nd grade, and I'm just like, just because like, you know, you're wearing a mask and you're protecting not only yourself but you're protecting other people, and it's like, just because you might not be able to see that like wearing that mask like is helping in a really significant way, and just because you personally might get sick and you might be fine, or you might be asymptomatic, just because that's you and you might be fine, you might be giving it to someone else who's not going to be fine. And I think this pandemic has really taught that like people are not thinking about other people. And I don't know if it's surprising at all, but that's just like something to note, that I think people are just not thinking about other people, which is really sad. And it is hard. And I think I don't think that this has at all been easy. And I think another aspect and another piece of this is, you know, the other day I was like talking to like my coach at work, and I was like, I'm like, I don't even remember what exactly like we were talking about, but I was like, I just, you know, this is like really hard to be like a first year teacher in a pandemic. And he's like, yes, he's like, you're allowed to feel any sorts of way. And like my roster has changed like 7 times or whatever. And like, it's just been such an incredibly wild year. And I'm definitely like, you know, I absolutely love my job, and I love the role that I'm in, and I love what I get to do, and it's so wonderful. Like, I absolutely love it. I love the kids. But it is very stressful, and it is like, there's a lot of things that I feel like I'm having to deal with, where being a first year teacher is hard in and of itself, and then being a first year teacher in a pandemic, it's truthfully like two extremely challenging things all mixed in one. And I think there's things that like people aren't even realizing that are at like added elements to like how this is impacting teaching in such a different way. And just for frame of reference, we are in person. However, it's more of like a hybrid. And I guess what I should say to make it really clear, because some places are doing hybrids like very differently, is our school's doing it where if a parent opts in to have their kid go in person, they're able to go in person. But if a parent wants to pull their scholar out at any point and have them be working at home, they're able to do that. So that's kind of what our hybrid is looking like. And then there's teachers who are, doing it at home, but then we're doing in person. And yeah, I think like one other thing too that's been like, I got like a really nice comment the other day from one of my coworkers, and it's been like really hard to like be positive throughout this. And my word actually, which is honestly kind of interesting looking at it now, my word of the year of 2020 was actually positive. Obviously this was done before quarantine and stuff like that. But it was really interesting picking that word. And I remember like at the beginning of the school year, I remember talking to one of my coworkers, and it's so interesting to see like sometimes I don't think you realize like the impact that you have on other people. And so it was really interesting when I was talking to her, and she was like, I know you are trying to be really positive. So it's really nice to hear like someone else say that. And I was like, yeah, it's like my word of the year and stuff. And then I remember like talking to one of my coworkers recently, and they were like, you are just such a nice positive force like on the team. And that was like really, really nice to hear, just like how I am trying like really hard to like, I don't even want to say I'm trying really hard, because I don't think it's something I'm like consciously thinking about, but I am trying to be like looking at things more positively, where I think it's been so easy for so many people to think about the situation so negatively. And I don't fault anyone for thinking about that at all, but even like with like the vaccine, I'm like, it's coming and it's happening, and like people are getting vaccinated, and like that's incredibly good. And I think there's definitely been like a lot of like pushback on that, where like the rollout of it has not been in a way that I think people expected. I also, to be fair, this is logistically truthfully a nightmare, and that whole aspect of just like operations and like logistics and figuring that sort of stuff out is definitely not my strong suit. So I couldn't imagine like being in a role like that. I don't know what that like looks like. I don't know how this rollout is going to happen. I don't know how anyone is doing it. It's truthfully a thing of magic. But yeah, it's just been like a really, really challenging situation. And I think I don't know. I think we've just been kind of like going through the motions, and I think I just kind of had like a couple moments where I've just been like, hey, like this is really hard. This is a really abnormal situation. Teaching will be like different after this, but it's not always going to be in this specific way, and just kind of trying to like go through the punches. And I am trying to think positively, even though it's a very difficult thing to do. Especially because I think, and I understand it, and I feel very, very privileged and very lucky to be in this position where Paul and I both have jobs. He's able to work from home. I'm in that position where I'm not able to work from home. I am going in person, and I don't have an option to, like I'm mandated like to go, because that's just what the rules are, and that's what we have to do. There's so many people who've been impacted this situation they're in a lot worse of a situation than I am. So I have to definitely take steps back and like remember my privilege, and remember that like other people have definitely a significantly harder time than like I do in this situation. So definitely have to like humble myself and like take a step back. And I think that's really important to do. And this is true for like multiple aspects as well, not just like the pandemic, but yeah, just like definitely taking a step back and realizing just how like lucky the position that we are in, and how other people like definitely have it worse. Kind of like relating this back to magic is I keep thinking about how it's going to be so exciting when we can sit down and like play a game of Commander, and I'm so excited to have we, prior to everything going on, I want to say our last one I don't remember if we had one in March. We might have had one in February. But we have like a party like once a month. Again, this was before COVID. We haven't seen anyone. But we'd have parties at our house, and it was just so fun because I'd like play music, and like I would bake, and like friends would come over, and we would just get the chance to like play Magic and like see everyone, and it was so incredibly fun. And just like not having that aspect, because that aspect was like so incredibly fun. It was so great to like see everyone, because not everyone might be able to like make it out to like an FNM or something like that, but some people, you know, made it out there, which was so fun. And the crowd was kind of like different every time, because like everyone's schedules, you know, everyone's like busy and has like different schedules and stuff like that. But I'm really looking forward to the day that we're able to celebrate, and I am really looking forward to that. So we definitely want to have a party when all of this is said and done, and we can do it safely, and it'll be really, really lovely. So I'm definitely looking forward to that, and I'm definitely looking forward to just seeing everyone. And another aspect that I've been thinking about too is how much I want to go to Magic Fest in person. I want to go to a Magic Fest. I don't care where. I just want to like hop on a plane and just go somewhere. So I definitely want to do that. I think I've only been to, I'm going to say 3 events. I think 3 big events. GP Pittsburgh. This is back when they were called GPs too. That was in like 2015. And then I went to GP Vegas. Again, that was still when they were called GPs, in 2018. And then in 2020, this is when they call Magic Fest Austin. So I've only been to 3, and I definitely want to go to more. Another thing I'd really love to do as well is I really loved, and if you haven't seen this video, I'll list it in the down bar below, but I did my Tea Time with Tracy video with Mythic Meebo, and I think an aspect as well of like deleting my Twitters, I feel like I don't get as much like interaction with like other Magic players. But I would really love to definitely get some of that at like future events. I'd love to do like a Tea Time with Tracy in person with someone. I think that would just be like really, really fun when things are safe and when things are open and whatnot. But yeah, I'm like very, very, like, I really, really want to go to like Magic Fest. I really want to go. Like, I absolutely loved going to all the ones, and I don't know why I like spaced them out in that way. Like, I feel like we didn't go at very like consecutive times. Yeah, I don't really care where it is. I'm just like very eager to go to a Magic Fest. So, and also too, the really cool thing is that I have like my Magic friends here in Texas, but then I have like my other friends in like New York and stuff. So really cool, because I've seen them at events, which has been really awesome. So yeah, I definitely think I would really love to go back to Vegas, actually. Vegas itself, I like don't really care about. Like, I'm not like a huge like, ooh, like Vegas is super fun or anything. Like the actual like concept of like, you know, like the whole vibe of Vegas, like I'm not a huge fan of, but I really loved Vegas because it was just so like big, and they had like so many artists there, and which I love. That's like one of my favorite parts about those events is like meeting artists, getting cards signed, talking to artists. I love also window shopping and also actually shopping and like buying cards. That is like so fun. It's just like, I don't know what it is. It's like buying cards online is like fun too, but it's just so fun to just go in person and just like see foil Magic cards. Like that's another aspect that I really miss. I don't know if that like makes sense to anyone, if anyone like feels the same way, but there's just like nothing like just like seeing a beautiful row of foils, like rows and rows of foils, and being like, oh, I want that one. Like, oh, just like I miss that so much. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. One idea that I had that I thought would be really cool, and I would like totally, of course, like get my friends' permissions, but one aspect that I was thinking of doing is when I am able to see like my friends again, whether that be at a card shop or whether that be at our house, is like filming it and kind of doing like a little like reunion video. And another aspect that I kind of thought, and that might be in that video if I do that, or it might be in a different video, is kind of like interviewing like my Magic player friends and like asking them kind of like, what is this kind of like about the pandemic, but like relating it to Magic. So like what was like the number one thing you missed about Magic? Like talk about how Magic in the pandemic is different compared to Magic without the pandemic, like things like that. So let me know if you guys think that would be a cool video idea, because it was something I thought of and I was like, I think that'd be really interesting to like do and like talk to them and whatnot. And yeah, just a kind of like a reflection sort of thing after like everything is more normal, which, you know, I feel like a lot of people keep saying that, more normal, but yeah. Yeah, but I kind of just wanted to like just do a really casual chit chat, just kind of talk to you guys. How are you doing? Keep me updated. One thing I really love is like, I think one of the really cool things about having a smaller amount of subscribers is that I feel like I know like so many of you, and like when you comment, like I know your names, and it's so incredibly cool when I like see one of you comment. I'm like, oh, that's how this person is doing, or like it's so nice to see their comment. So that's like really cool. Whereas I feel like for those people who are like larger and they have so many subscribers and have so many comments, it can be really like, challenging to keep up with that. So it's like really cool to be a small YouTube channel and like see those sorts of things. So I really love that. But yeah, I'd really like to know how you guys are doing. Keep me posted on everything in a comment about your mental health and whatnot. I really hope that, you know, uploading and whatnot is like, I don't know, just like helping someone, because I feel like I've definitely felt that way about like YouTubers that I follow. I don't really keep up with like the rest of the Magic community. It's definitely not my strong suit. I really feel very like I don't keep up with like the latest sets and like the latest decks and stuff like that, because I really only play Commander. So I feel like I definitely miss out on a lot of aspects. So I'm not the best at like interacting with like other Magic players. I'm not good at that at all. And I think also deleting my Twitter has like also hindered that. But the other YouTubers that I watch, I feel like it's such a small thing. And like I felt this way a lot in like December, because I remember when I worked at adults with disabilities, and actually when I working at a school, is I remember like both of like the social work like kind of people were like December can be like a really challenging month for like residents when I work with adults with disabilities and our scholars, because December is just a very strange month. It's like the holidays, and so it's like you're like, oh, hustle and bustle the holidays, but it's like actually a really hard time for people because emotions are really high. People like don't get to see their families, and it's just like a lot of emotions. And so I know like in December, one of the people I followed like uploaded like a video like every day in December, and that just like little like aspect of just knowing like every consistency, like every day like I'm gonna get a video from this person, and just like something that I could watch, and it was just like such a source of like comfort for me. So I hope that like I'm one of those people for someone. I think that'd be really like cool if, you know, it's like someone is like, oh, like every Friday, like Tracy uploads a video and like whatever. Well, sometimes it's not always on Friday. I'm trying to do Friday to be like a little bit consistent. But anyways, I hope that, you know, you liked hanging out and just chatting. I'd really like to, you know how y'all's mental health is and whatnot. And if you watch this video all the way in full, I really appreciate you. But yeah, I think that's it for me, guys. I'm gonna go. But I hope you guys enjoy this video, and I'll talk to you guys in my next one.